Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Sitting in a Car. My name is Sarah Sproul, and I sit in a car answering parents' questions about sex. We are all in the business of raising confident and kind young people who respect themselves and respect the people around them. So the question for this week is, and I'm going to read it off the post-it note, what if your child just does not want to talk about sex? Question mark. Book? Another question mark. Great question. I remember now, I can't remember how old they were, but one of my kids, I wanted to talk about something to do with puberty, and they just were not having a bar of it, and they just didn't want to know. And so I don't want to talk about it. No. And so I did something else, and I'm going to tell you what I did in the 3 points that we have for today. It's actually 4 points for today. So the first thing is you can try is, yes, absolutely, get them a book. You can get them, you can borrow a book from the library, or you can get something on Book Depository or Amazon. I'll put a few links in the comments below. Oftentimes, the second thing you can do, because, let's go back a little bit. So if they don't want to talk or they don't want to be spoken to, they still need the information. And that is one of those things. It's like going back to when your kids were small and they didn't want to get in their car seat. You still had to put them in the car seat if you were going to drive anywhere. That was just a non-negotiable thing. And so in this same way, having your kid with access to accurate information about sexuality, relationships, puberty, whatever the thing is a non-negotiable really, because ignorant kids going out into the world spells, disaster for them, and perhaps for the people around them, because we need our kids to have enough information so they can make good decisions for themselves. Okay, so book was the first thing. The second thing is we can put other pieces of information around the house. So I have a support service called the Talk Lab that parents work inside there with me. And one of the things that I do for them is provide a poster each month. So we have a topic for each month that we talk about. And for each topic, I provide a poster that is designed for kids from age 8 to 12 or 13 that can be printed off and then blue tacked up or sticky taped on the fridge or magnets or whatever on the back of a door, or maybe in the toilet, somewhere where everybody sees it in the family, and our tween kid is going to see it as well. Because the reason why that's useful is because they can get the information without having a conversation. And the reality of it is, some people are just not interested in this or are going to be awkward for most of their lives. And so we need to come up with different ways of providing the information. The third thing is, and this is what I did actually in my example, is talk to a different kid in the family within earshot of the other child. Now, this works particularly well if you haven't started any conversations with your kids about sexuality or relationships, because you'll need to be starting right back at the very beginning with the basics. And young kids are really open to hear basic information about sex and relationships and how babies are made and all that sort of stuff. And it's age appropriate for them. I don't like that word particularly, but kids can learn about human conception. So you can start a conversation with a younger kid who will be really interested in it while the other kid is around in the same room. It's a really good strategy. And oftentimes they'll hang around and just listen but pretend they're not listening. The next thing you can try, so we're up to the fourth idea, is to organize to have an adult friend or someone you trust come into the house, and you can talk to them about the information you want your kid to hear. So obviously your kid needs to be in the same space again. But while it's really important to show your kid you can talk about these things, because you want them to know for sure that they can come to you with any problems. And that's where a book never really will do that part of the job for you. A book will give them accurate information, but a book will never show them that you are open to having these conversations. And that's oftentimes the missing part. So having someone come into the house, it could be an auntie or a friend who is cool and hip and interested in this sort of thing, or your co-parent or your spouse, or whatever supportive person you have around these things. It could be the parent of one of their friends. Maybe you both are on the same track about the information that your kids need to have, and then you can help each other out by having these conversations in front of your kids. And the final thing is, you can use materials like this podcast, for example. Everything I say in here is, well, in this conversation anyway, really reasonable to be listening to as you're washing the dishes or packing the dishwasher, and not in your headset, but so everyone can hear. You need to be the judge of whether that's going to suit your family. So that's the question for this week. There were 5 different ideas. Get them a book, leave information around the house, like posters or information leaflets. Talk to the other kids in your family. Find a friend or a co-parent or someone else who you can start talking to about these sort of things and showing your kid that you talk about this stuff. Or listen to some other sort of educational media like this podcast without having headphones on, so they can hear the information and hear you listening to the information, so you can prove yourself to be an approachable adult. And that's sitting in a car for another week, where I've answered a question so you can raise a confident and caring young person who respects themselves and the people around them. Bye for now.